So TT, I will give you the opportunity to be able to work on this afterwards, but I want to review what we had learned last week. So we needed to write our first draft of our response to the scholarship jacket. Can you remind me what the story was about? Do you remember?
Story was about the author who is like a personal narrative.
Yeah.
And she was in 8th grade and she really wanted this scholarship jacket because she doesn't have enough money, and this way she can get a good scholarship for the next year.
Well, she couldn't get a scholarship for school, but she could earn the scholarship jacket. And what was the conflict that took place in this short story?
I think
what was the conflict? Remember what happened?
Story. I think the conflict in this short story was when
Hi, Angela.
I think the conflict in this short story when her math teacher and her another teacher were arguing about whether to put Martha, who has all the grades and she has talent, versus Joanne, who isn't as good, but her father's in the board and owns the only store in the community.
Yes. So what did they tell Martha to kind of discourage her? Angela, what did they tell Martha?
The board was like changing its decision to like have like it couldn't afford the jacket, so the recipient needed to pay $15 to have the jacket, or it would be given to Joanne.
Yes. And why do you think they implemented that? Why do you think they said that, TT?
Because they were kind of discriminating them because they know that Martha's family was poor. So they used that to...
Exactly. Yeah. And Angela, you want to add to that?
She's also Mexican.
Yes, that's a good point as well. So they wanted to discourage thinking that her grandfather wouldn't be able to afford it. And this way, the scholarship jacket could go to the daughter of one of the board members, Joanne. And what was the outcome? What was the solution that the author and main character Martha came to? TT?
The solution? She didn't know that her grandfather was helping her because a scholarship jacket means you get it free just because of your talents and like you got straight A's and of something incredible you did. If you just pay for a scholarship jacket, then basically anyone can get it. It wouldn't be really a scholarship jacket anymore. So, and then her grandfather reminded the board and the principal of that. Then they actually gave it back to her and realized their mistake.
Well, was it the grandfather who reminded the board? Who had the conversation with the principal? It was Martha, right? Martha had the conversation. So it showed us that, do we have another? Oh, Summer's joining as well. Perfect. So what did Martha learn? What was the takeaway? What did she learn? Who can tell me? Angela?
You have to like fight for justice sometimes.
Yeah, you have to stand up for yourself, because initially she had heard the teachers and the principal speaking in the classroom about contemplating giving the scholarship jacket to another student. And Martha could have easily walked into the classroom and said something, but she kept quiet. She walked into the class with her head down, and it didn't address it. It wasn't until she spoke with her grandfather, who provided her with advice, that she came to the realization that if she really wanted this jacket because of her hard work and dedication to her grades, then she needed to stand up for herself and declare that she earned it fair and square. So for homework, and I think this is a really great short story for anyone to learn the theme, right? We always need to stand up for ourselves and the work that we do, especially when we deserve credit for it. So for homework, we needed to write a response paragraph to the short story, focused on the main character of the short story, Martha. And we needed, I'm going to pull up this slide as a reminder. So our topic sentence needed to tell us what? What did our topic sentence need to tell us, Angela?
The title of what you're reading, the author, and the main character.
Yes, you needed to describe the main character a little bit. What was the body of your paragraph to do? TT, what was the body of the paragraph to do?
It was to go into more detail about the character and some of the challenges they face.
Yes. And that final closing sentence, this was an important sentence that was going to wrap up your paragraph and leave the reader with some very important information. And who can tell me what that final closing sentence needed to do? TT?
It says the lesson, message, or theme that was learned from the story.
Yes. And also how the character changed, right? So I had explained to you last week, with any story you read, whether it's a novel, a short story, a children's book, the character in any of those pieces of writing transforms from who they are at the beginning of the book compared to the end. And why do they transform? Angela?
Because something has happened to them?
Yes, because they have undergone some sort of conflict. And when presented with this conflict, they need to figure out how to resolve it. And through that, they usually learn something. TT?
So basically, you are saying that like a character receives a conflict or some conflict happens or occurs, and then the character reacts to it, and then that later helps them have a life lesson?
Exactly. You described that very well, TT. And remind me, what was the transformation for Martha? Who was she at the beginning of the book, Angela?
Smart and confident. I mean, not very confident.
No, she wasn't confident. What else?
Smart.
She was very smart. That didn't change. But her weaknesses were she wasn't confident enough to stand up for herself, right? And how did she transform at the end of the book? Who was she at the end of the book, Summer?
I'm sorry, I was working on my thing. Wait, what was the question?
So I had asked, we had said that in the beginning of the book, Martha was not confident because she didn't address the teachers when she had overheard them speaking about giving the scholarship jacket to a student who didn't earn it. And then what happened at the end to change her character? Who did she become at the end of the story?
She
What were
became
her... Sorry, go ahead.
She was like more confident and she stood up for herself.
Yes, she became more confident. She stood up for herself. And remember how happy she was when she walked home? She was crying, but she was crying happy tears. So we know what we needed to do with our topic sentence. We needed to list the information from the book, the name of the book, the author, who the main character is that we're describing. Our body section of our paragraph is going to describe the character and the important things that happen to them, which provides the transformation. And our final closing sentence is going to tell us how the character changed at the end of the story. So always think your character is always going to have a weakness at the beginning of the story and a strength at the end in most short stories. It doesn't apply to all, but in most. So I'd like to take a look at each of your response paragraphs. Did everyone get a chance to complete that? So Summer, I know you said you're working on yours. TT, you're working on yours. Angela, is this one yours? Fantastic. Okay, great. So Angela, this is excellent. You have your first name, last name, the date, and the title. Wonderful. So I'm going to have, I just want to close this. I'm going to have you read your paragraph for me.
In the short story, The Scholarship Jacket by Martha Salinas, a Mexican girl, Martha, fights injustice to be the valedictorian who earns the special scholarship jacket. Martha has 8 siblings and lives with her grandparents, since her parents were farmers and poor. Winning the scholarship jacket would mean the school would pay for sports, uniforms, and other school supplies. Owning the scholarship jacket would be their only chance since the family was so poor, and earning the scholarship is also a little silently pressured since her older sister Rosie also earned the jacket. One day during gym, Martha was going to get her gym shorts and overheard 2 of her teachers, Mr. Schmidt and Mr. Boone, arguing whether Martha should get the scholarship or give it to another, richer girl. The very next day, Martha is called to the principal, knowing that it was about the jacket. As the principal nervously delivers the news of the $15 jacket, Martha goes home to ask for money from her grandpa. Instead of giving her money, Grandpa teaches her that if you have to pay for it, it's paid for, not earned, and tells her that he won't pay. The next day, Martha told the principal that her grandfather wouldn't pay, and it wouldn't truly be a scholarship if it was paid. But instead of having the next girl take the jacket, the principal makes an exception for Martha as she rushed home joyfully and confidently.
Excellent. So really well done. I just want to adjust this to the scholarship jacket. The other thing
so I was saying,
sorry,
like,
Angela?
For the one that you highlighted, scholarships are free, kind of. So it's not really about the jacket in that case.
But I know you mentioned the school would pay for sports, uniform, and other school supplies. So she wouldn't be provided with this, but she wanted to get such good grades to be credited with this scholarship jacket that her sister had won as well, right? So we just want to make sure that everything is accurate that we're putting into this. This is really well written, Angela. You did an excellent job at summarizing the events that have taken place. What I want you to try to include more of is describing Martha's character. So describing that she lacked confidence, right? She was too insecure and to address Mr. Schmidt and Mr. Boone when she had walked into the room. Now, the final sentence here needs to tell us, what did Martha learn? So this is excellent that you say, the next day Martha told the principal that her grandfather won't pay, and it wouldn't truly be a scholarship jacket if she needed to pay for it. But instead of having the next girl take the jacket, so this sentence here, I would like you to adjust to what it is that Martha learned. Martha learned from the advice given to her from her grandfather that she needed to stand up for herself and receive the jacket for the hard work that she had done. So we're going to add in here, Angela, more of the characteristic of Martha, because remember, this is a response to the character specifically. And our ending sentence is going to be shaped on what Martha learned and how she changed. So she's more confident now. And this is excellent. You did a fantastic job with your topic sentence. Very well done. So overall, Angela, excellent. We're just going to make those 2 minor changes, okay? So I'll let you work on that now. Okay, and TT and Summer were not done, right? Okay. Does anyone have any questions for me about the response to literature paragraph? We all understand? Okay. So since the others are still working on theirs, we're going to move on to the next lesson. So we learned how to write a response paragraph focused on the main character of a short story. And now we are going to be interpreting a story. So often the events in a story change the main character. For example, in this chapter, you will read about Adam Zabrin, a boy whose life changes when he becomes fascinated with zebras. The way Adam changes gives clues to the theme of the story. Writing about literature is a good way to connect characters and themes. In this chapter, you will write about a main character in a piece of literature and tell how the character contributes to the theme of the novel or story. So this is going to be an essay format. So we've done a paragraph, now we're going to be writing an essay. So understanding your goal. What should you include in your response to literature? You should include a clear interpretation of the story's meaning or theme. Your interpretation will be based on your study of a character. The chart below lists the key traits in a response to literature with specific suggestions for this assignment. Ideas. Write a statement that explains the focus of your response and select details that support it. Organization. Organize your response using one of the patterns of organization and write an ending that explains the strengths of the theme. Voice. Use a voice that shows interest in the book or story and reflects the overall feeling. Word choice. Use specific nouns and verbs and strong verbs. Sentence fluency. So you want to make sure that all your sentences flow nicely. and that not all your sentences are the exact same length. So remember, we had spoken about that. You need a variety, and your conventions. So ensuring correct grammar, capitalization, spelling, punctuation, and errors. What I want you to do with this assignment is after you finish writing your first draft, I want you to step away from it. Sometimes when we're working too closely on a piece of writing, we overlook minor errors such as capitalization, grammar, spelling mistakes. Take a little break, whether it's 15 minutes, maybe you take a day, go back to it, review it, and ensure that you have all the details you need, all your sentences flow smoothly, that there aren't any minor errors that you had missed the previous time you reviewed it. Okay, I would like us to take a look at this response essay. So the novel Esperanza Rising tells the story of a group of migrant workers in California during the 1930s. A student who read the book wrote this interpretation of the story and its main character, Esperanza Ortega. Can I get a volunteer to read this first paragraph for me, TT?
Esperanza Rising by Pam Munzo Ryan is the story of a Mexican girl who becomes a migrant worker in California. Making such a big move in life is never easy, but Esperanza must rise above even more problems than most immigrants do. In 1 year, she faces many difficulties that change her and make her a better person. Although she is only 14 years old when the story ends, it is clear that these challenges have taught Esperanza to be strong.
Okay, who can tell me what this paragraph has provided to the reader? Angela?
The title, the author, and the main character, and also
Yes.
what the character learns.
Yes. So it's very important that your first sentence is going to introduce us to the short story you're speaking about, who the author of that short story is, and the character that you are focusing on. The sentence that is underlined in blue here, what does it tell us? Why is that an important sentence? TT, why is that an important sentence there?
I think it is like, it kind of goes into, it says, like, it's clear that these challenges have taught Esperanza to be strong, is basically the theme and message. And it kind of helps it flow with the next paragraph.
Yes, so this is going to be your topic sentence here that's going to introduce us, and that's a good point that you made, TT. It's going to flow into your next paragraph. But it's told us that the conflict within the story, so the challenges that Esperanza has faced, has taught her to be strong. So we now know what this character has learned, and the paragraphs to follow are going to take us through a summary of her transformation. What were the events that she was challenged with, and how did this make her strong? What was she before? Was she very weak? Angela, I know you had your hand up. Did you want to add to that?
It's also like the focus statement for the whole
Yes.
paragraph, story essay.
Yes, that is correct. Okay. So now we're moving on to our middle paragraphs. And our middle paragraphs are going to tell us the important events that took place that contributed to Esperanza becoming what? What was that, Angela?
Who she is now?
Yes, to who she is now, which is strong. So, Angela, can I have you read the first middle paragraph for me?
Often come to the United States because they have been poor all of their lives. But that is not the case with Esperanza. She grows up on a big ranch in Mexico, and her family is rich and important. Esperanza spends her time going to school and learning to love the ranch, being spoiled by Puppy, her father. Her main worry is what kind of dress she will wear to the next fancy party. When Poppy dies, the day before her 13th birthday, Esperanza and her mother find themselves without a home or a way to make money in Mexico. They decide to move to the United States.
Fantastic. What did this first middle paragraph introduce to us? Angela?
How the story started out.
Yep, so how the story started, but what did it introduce to us about Esperanza? TT?
It introduced where she lived, and I also introduced the problem.
Yeah, but it gave us some information about Esperanza. It described to us what Esperanza is like. So we know she lives in Mexico. We know that she's very rich. She's not poor. She comes from money. They live a very nice life. It told us what she likes to do. So she likes to spend her time going to school, learning to love the ranch, and being spoiled by her father, Poppy. What's the unfortunate event that took place? Angela?
Her puppy dies.
Yeah, he passed away. And now this creates a transformation, right? An adjustment here, because now they don't have money to make in Mexico, and they have made the decision to move to the States. Okay, Summer, could you read the next middle paragraph for us?
Is it from in the beginning of their journey?
Yes, yep.
In the beginning of their journey to California, Esperanza looks down on the other migrants. She is shocked by the living conditions in the migrant camps, and she believes that the other workers are not as intelligent as she is. Esperanza quickly learns that the peasants are smart, even smarter than she is in many ways. They know how to survive and support each other. Soon she realizes that dignity and honor come from the way that someone lives life, not from family status.
Excellent. So who was Esperanza when she arrived to California? What was she like? She had some poor qualities here. TT?
She looked down on others. That means she thought she was above everyone else because she saw the bad conditions they were in.
Yeah, so she's judgmental. She thinks she's better. What did she learn? Angela, what did she learn?
Many of immigrants are actually smarter than she is.
Yeah, and what did she ultimately learn? What did it say at the end of this paragraph? TT?
That it doesn't really matter who your family is, that dignity and honor comes from the way you live life.
Yes, excellent. So we see that these middle paragraphs are taking us through chronological order of the events that take place in the short story, but also remember the focus is on the character. You need to describe the character's transformation. So the first paragraph, middle paragraph, tells us about who she is in Mexico, what she likes to do, her family, financial status. Then we learn her father dies, right? And now, she's at this migrant camp and thinks she's better than everyone else because she came from money once she was in Mexico. And she's turned around, right? She realizes that she can't be this judgmental person, that these people that she's surrounded by are just as smart as she is, or even smarter. So see how the writer shows the events that take place, but also how these events alter the character. So I don't want you to just summarize the story to me. I want you to tell me about the character and the character's transformation. Who is this character? So keep this in mind, everyone. Okay, I'll read this paragraph here. So Esperanza now faces the same problems that other Mexican immigrants do. She learns that immigrants have to deal with prejudice, poverty, and bosses who cheat them. Esperanza misses her old life. Still, like the other immigrants, she hopes that in America she will never run out of chances. But Esperanza's problems soon get worse instead of better. Her mother is very sick and has to go to the hospital for many weeks, leaving Esperanza alone. Mama has always been a loving woman who faces her troubles with great strength, and Esperanza has always depended on her for her support. Now Esperanza must be strong, and her mother's example helps her survive. So see how the author has provided us again with the challenges that they've been faced with, but also key information about the character. We learn about Mama, what she's like. We learn about how Esperanza now needs to transform again to deal with her mother being sick, right? Can I get a volunteer to read our closing paragraph, our ending paragraph? TT?
In the end, Esperanza learns to make the best of what she has. She has learned to love her new land and now realizes that worrying about dresses is not the most important thing. Esperanza, whose name means hope in Spanish, says, "Do not be afraid to start over." That is good advice for everyone.
Excellent. So what was the main thing that Esperanza learned that we've been told by the author of this essay? And it's found in this ending paragraph here. Angela?
Don't be afraid to start over.
Yes, right? So your ending paragraph is going to summarize the theme of the story. Okay, it's going to tell us the theme. And the theme always is derived from the lesson learned from it, right? So as the reader, we take away that you should never be afraid to start over. And we also learn that Esperanza now realizes that she needs to be able to adapt to change, and that life's going to throw some curveballs sometimes. You're going to be faced with some really hard challenges. You need to have the strength to be able to address them and push through it, push through the hard times. So for homework, we are going to be writing an essay based off a new short story that I'm going to share with you shortly. And I need you to provide me with the same concept of responding to this piece of literature I'm going to share with you and giving me a summary of this short story, but focusing it on the main character and what the character has learned. Okay? So this example here for the pre-writing wants you to create a chart for the main character. I am providing you with the option, because there are multiple characters in this upcoming short story. You can choose who you wish to write about. So there's a character named Margot in the story I'm going to share with you. And there's also the students in a class that she's in. So you could choose to write from the perspective of the student. You have the option. So I want you to create your own chart before you start writing. marking down the main character or the character that you'd like to write about, and jotting down, what did this character learn? What was the takeaway? Okay. Another thing that's going to help you with building your essay is gathering some details. What are the events that had taken place? And the writer in the previous essay that we just read created 3 events, right? So it had told us how Esperanza started out, right? Very rich, happy, she loved school, but then her dad died. So that was event number 1. What was event number 2 that took place? Angela?
They moved to California.
They moved to California, and what challenge was she faced with? Angela?
She
What
realized
challenge?
she wasn't superior, that some
Yes,
than her.
that's correct. And what was the last thing, the last event, TT?
Her mother got sick and she got
Yes,
the same things that other migrants felt.
yes, yeah. She was dealing with the challenges that they were facing, such as poverty, the boss is treating them poorly, and she's now faced with the challenge of potentially losing another parent at such a young age. So we need to develop our focus statement, and our focus statement is going to be the last sentence in our beginning paragraph. This formula is going to help you shape your focus statement. So we're going to take the character, combined it with what the character learned. So the example here says, Adam is a boy who is seriously injured in an accident. What the character learns? He learns that art can help heal his body and his mind. Now we combine those together to get our focus statement. As he struggles with his injuries, Adam learns that art can help heal his body and his mind. When it comes to your middle part of your essay, so after you write your focus statement, the next step is to plan the middle paragraphs of your essay. Each middle paragraph should include a topic sentence and deal with one key event. Below is the plan the writer of the sample essay made for the order of the key events. However, he later realized that he needed another event. He placed it in between events 2 and 3. I want you to only have, you have the option of having 2 to 3 middle paragraphs for this essay, okay? So I'm providing you with the option. I don't want you to have more than 4. So you'll have your introduction paragraph, the choice of 2 or 3 middle paragraphs, and then your conclusion, okay? So in total, it could be 5 or 4 paragraphs in length, okay? Did that answer your question, TT? Okay. So when it comes to your middle paragraphs, you need to remember, you need to decide on the best order to describe the events that take place. Should be in chronological order because that makes most sense and that's going to flow nicely in your essay. You need to add any events that you feel are necessary to explain your interpretation. Remember, don't provide every tiny detail. You want to summarize, right? You don't want to get into too many of the details. Try to keep things concise and condensed. Using your events, write a topic sentence for each of your middle paragraphs. What are your topic sentences for each of those middle paragraphs going to do? Angela?
Support your focus statement.
They're going to support your focus statement, but they are going to introduce what that particular paragraph is about. So when I read Angela's first topic sentence of one of her middle paragraphs, I'm going to know, okay, this paragraph is going to provide me with information about this particular event that took place. So for homework, I only want us completing the pre-writing of this assignment. So you're going to go through the slides that I have here, and I'm going to upload a Google document for you at the end of class where you're going to create a chart. And it doesn't have to be a chart. You can write the character's name and list the bullet points of what the character had learned. You're going to gather the details for each of the events that take place in this short story. You're going to provide me with a focus statement and 2 to 3 topic sentences which introduce each of your middle paragraphs. Does anyone have any questions for me about the pre-writing of your essay? Okay, wonderful. In addition, you're going to complete pages 99 to 103 in your skills workbook. So now I would like for us to read the short story together. And this short story, you're going to notice, is very different from the scholarship jacket because it's written in a little bit of a poetic way. And we need to do some heavy thinking to best interpret this short story. Has anyone read All Summer in a Day? No? Okay.